As a host today, I want to introduce you Carsten Ley. Carsten is from Germany and has been living over 9 years in Vietnam. Carsten is an OKR, an agile coach, and a customer experience consultant. Carsten has coached and guided many OKR setups and implementation for clients in Asia, Europe, and the US. He used to work for Lazada Group as a vice president for customer experience and was acknowledged as top 150 global customer experience leaders in 2020. Carsten, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Dirk. Like I say, my name is Carsten. I'm from Germany. I worked previously in Germany also for Deloitte Consulting, more on corporate accounts, and now with our own company, Asia PMO and OKR Asia, we work in industrial, startup, banking and finance fields for OKR implementation, project management, customer employee experience, all the topics you need nowadays to drive your companies more agile and more customer and employee focused. And less siloed. I'm very happy that FlowyTeam invited me for this video cast, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Carsten. So let's start first with the first question, Carsten. How to keep your management and workforce focused towards your vision and strategies at the same time? How do you do that, Carsten? What is your experience?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. When we start with OKRs, a lot of times people are telling us, oh, we want to implement OKRs that our teams can focus the next 3 months on their task and getting things done. But often, especially with startups, we realize the problem is not the teams. The problem is more the founder and C-level, that they suddenly come every 2 to 4 weeks with a new idea and drive the teams a little bit crazy and say, hey, you were working on that, but can you not just add that and that and that? Yeah. And we also try to put the discipline on C-level and say, okay, if you say this is your strategy for 1 year, you want to develop a new tool, you want to develop a new market, what can you realistically achieve in Q1? Is it a preparation step? Is it already a rollout step? Is it a research step? Yeah. And please focus on this step in Q1 and give your teams the time with the agreement at the beginning of the quarter to really finish the steps. And if you have a new idea within Q1 or there's a new market requirement, please think hard if you really want to bother your team in Q1, or we start with that in Q2. So your team has really time to finish the previous agreement. So for us, the experience is the disciplining by OKRs on 3 months. And honestly speaking, 3 months is a very short time. It's only 12 weeks. Yeah. We want from both sides that the teams say, what can they finish in 12 weeks? And the founders and the team level say, what is realistic to do within 12 weeks? Yeah. And then you really get results. That both are not jumping around like with crazy ideas. So whenever you have an idea, validate it in the quarter. If you really need to do it in the same quarter, maybe you have to deprioritize something else. You have 5 OKRs. So it's not just add on. If you don't have to do it in the quarter, please park the idea for the next quarter.
So when you're quite new with OKR, the OKR cycle, would you recommend to start straight away with 3, 5 OKRs or start with 1 first?
No, I mean, 1 is too, like we say, one-dimensional. I mean, normally, if we look at 5 OKRs, at 3 to 5 OKRs, and it's also learning from us, most companies, they come up, of course, with a sales one. Then they probably have a productivity one, especially in times of COVID, we had productivity or even cost cutting ones. Yeah. So these are internal OKRs. Yeah. Sales, productivity, maybe number of customer leads and so on. And then we also recommend 2 external OKRs, which is customer experience. So ask yourself, what do I do for my customers the next 3 months? Not what I want to sell, what I really do for them. And the last one is employee experience. What are you doing for your team the next 3 months? So you start with the sales and productivity ones in one quarter because these are the most natural and the ones you need, and maybe a product building one can also be if you're still in a phase to build products or markets. And then you could add on quarter by quarter a customer experience one and a team experience one.
Okay, so the next question fits in quite well. So my question was how to create true results for customers rather than sales figures. Yeah, you mentioned customer experience. So what do you do for the customers? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, customer experience is at our heart because most of us in Asia PMO, we worked for customer experience before in Lazada, Home Credit, and other companies. And so we want to really use the OKRs to build an external view, right? Because if you give targets which are only internal, like we want to achieve 5 million sales, we want to have 1,000 new customers, we want to be 20% more productive. I mean, these OKRs are quite boring because every company is doing the same. I mean, it's like a blueprint. You can copy and paste them. Yeah. Sales, productivity, customer number, right? But the real inspiring part, and OKRs should be inspiring, comes when you say, what are we doing for the market? What are we doing for people? Yeah, can be customers or employees. Yeah. Remember Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Tesla is not saying he's only building a car and he is building a rocket which is cheaper than the Russians. No, he wants to bring humanity to solar power and to Mars. And this is a real inspiration because you do something. You work for Tesla or SpaceX because you do something for humanity. And I know not all our companies are doing something for humanity. That's a very big topic. But at least think about it. What are you enabling your customers to do with your solution? So when you look at Lazada, right? I mean, you enable customers all over Southeast Asia, in the last village of Southeast Asia, to buy amazing goods which they don't have access to. Yeah, you enable sellers who only can sell in the neighborhood to suddenly sell in big markets around Southeast Asia. And that's the inspiration, right? That's why we look at outside experience, customer experience, because that could be a big motivation drivers for your team to work for your company.
So why we are doing that as a company, and what is really the customer benefit. Carsten, how can you enable teams to unleash their creativeness, especially with OKRs? And how can teams take action accordingly? What is your experience in this regard?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when we start with OKRs, we want to have bottom-up feedback on objective and key results. Even if, let's say, the wider management, let's say C-level, department heads, and maybe some team manager build the company OKRs first, we send it out as a survey, something to the whole team. Now, funnily, a lot of companies and teams are not used to do that, right? So it's a change management process. The first time you ask probably people in the company for feedback, is that what we should do as a company the next 3 months? You won't get a lot of responses because people are not used, because you never asked them before, right? And maybe they are quite shy. They don't know if it's a trap, or it depends on your company culture. They are not sure if they shall speak up. So in order to facilitate that, we have different levels what we do. So we do workshops on different level, company level for company OKRs, which we call wider management. So please invite some department heads and team leaders to discuss company level. And then when you go to department or team, please do it on their level. Yeah, the workshops. And then you come up with the objective and key results. We also, in global companies, like startups, which work all around the world, which have people all around the world, we send out anonymous surveys where people can comment on the objective and key results before they are set in stone. Yeah, and we get really good feedback about that because people then are not so shy. But it takes a while. And then what is very important for us, when we look at OKRs, the objective and key results can be discussed in this workshop. But when it comes down to department and team actions, this brainstorming should be fully on the teams. Yeah, Because if you want to achieve profit, if you want to achieve a good customer experience, I mean, who are the experts to do that? Of course, the person in the field, not the C-level. So when it comes down to the action level to achieve key results, don't run around as a boss and say, I know exactly what to do the next 3 months to achieve the key results. No, even you know it, ask your teams first and let them try ideas. The nice things about OKR is also we measure week by week the results. So even they do for 1 or 2 weeks the wrong actions, you can stop them after 2 or 3 weeks and say, hey, you tried that and that, zero impact on the key results. Can you have another idea? But you can let them do their ideas first. And maybe they are right. You don't know. Maybe you will be surprised.
That's a good point. I mean, give the power back to the team, yeah. And
yeah.
Every employee, I strongly believe that every employee has such a have a lot of powerful ideas, and just unleash this power, yeah, within the team. Carsten, to the last question, yeah. What are startups missing to master OKRs? You have a lot of experience working with startups. Please share your insights here.
Yeah, I mean, when I started in Lazada was 4 years old in 2016. Yeah, and wow, I came from a banking finance industry, and I was very happy to get into Lazada. It was a very agile environment where you can have ideas, where there is budget to try things, right? Where people are very open to listen everybody on any level. But what I found very difficult to work there was it was zero structured on an action and project management level. Yeah. So when people had projects to do, for example, we had a project to optimize the return flow in the warehouse, to make it faster for customers. People really didn't have an action management plan or something to follow, right? And then it was really hard to track these people on the results. And we saw it also with other clients. So when it comes down to this, objective key results are actually very easy to plan, right? Can be top down, can be sideways or bottom up, but this is a planning tool. But when it comes to the weekly reviews and say, okay, what have you done the last 7 days? And where are we on the key results? I see in a lot of startups that people are guessing around. People are like, oh, I'm in around 30%. I'm in around 10%. And then as a coach, I would ask why? What's the formula behind to measure the 10 or 30%? And they say, oh, I don't know, it's just a feeling. And that's not how it works, right? So there are a lot of ways to measure key results. Yeah. Normally you really get values behind that you achieve something. A workaround could be that you also measure the 10 actions you planned and give everything 10%, which is a little bit lame, but at least it's a start, right? But you need to have something where you can really make people accountable and say, I don't want you to guess that you are in a certain percentage. A lot of startups are really missing to have basic tools like Asana or Monday.com and training and aligning people on that. Yeah. And that's very needed in order to get OKRs. So if you are planning to get OKRs, get your action management right. Yeah. And have people accountable on the action management side. I mean, we can also help on that. We do that with clients, actually. We first get the action management cleaned up or in parallel to OKRs, because otherwise we don't know. And one thing about OKRs, and we call it OKRA, because actions is very important for us. Actions are not driving key result automatically. Just because somebody is doing something doesn't mean the key result will be achieved. You have to really come up how to measure the action if it has an impact on the key result. And a very big example from us is always we have in some companies finance units. They tell us, oh, in order to get the budget under control, I send every week out a budget report. I mean, for me, sending out a budget report is an action, not a result. They tell you it's a result. Because of this report, the budgets are under control. I don't believe it, honestly. I mean, you have to show me how this report drives anything. Yeah. I mean, what happens after the report? So somebody reads the report and says he's 10% over budget, and then next week he spends less. That's the real action. Yeah. And then because he spends less, we're getting into the budget. That's the result. Yeah. But sending out a report or doing your standard work week by week, like what you have to do in your work description, doesn't automatically drive results. Yeah. And
So
I see a lot of startups lacking that because people are just ticking off their actions. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it has to drive really like the outcome. Yeah, I mean, there has to be a result and a feasible result. So thank you very much, Carsten. We are running out of time. Thank you much, Carsten, for your time and your insights. And I'm happy to invite you again. And you have a lot of experience with working with startups together, how to implement the system, the OKR system successfully. So thank you very much, Carsten, again, and speak to you soon. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Dirk.
Thank you.